Okay, Abby, can you introduce yourself for those of my listeners that might not be familiar with the legend that you are?
Oh, thank you so much, Callie. So my name is Abi-Maria Gomes. I was on Survivor Philippines, season 25, and then America loved my spiciness and authenticity and voted me back to be on Second Chances in Cambodia.
I loved you on both of those seasons too. I feel like Second Chance was really the season that you debuted as a fully labeled witch. Didn't they
Yeah,
literally call you a witch?
they called me and the girls that I was working with a witch. Stephen Fishback, I got to credit him for that. And I think that they thought that was going to be offensive, but I'm like, you couldn't have called me something better than a
No,
witch.
it's literally so legendary.
Yeah, witches are powerful goddesses. They are like, fairies. Witches are not a negative term. Witches are wonderful. I mean, we are alchemists. We make things happen and marry meet. That's what witches say. So marry meet. Callie is the first
Oh,
time.
wait, what is it?
Marry meet.
That's what they say when they gather,
Yeah,
the
when
witches
they
gather.
gather, when they meet, like they say marry meet. And then when they are done, it's marry part.
Okay, well, marry me.
Yeah, and then when we're done with this, we say marry part.
Okay, good to
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I have like a bunch of questions for you, but um, okay, my first one, just to like get into it, is I was thinking like, because I'm watching reality shows right now on Netflix, Perfect Match. Have you seen Perfect
I
Match?
have not seen Perfect Match.
It's good. It's really, there's a villain on there too that you'd probably
Oh,
like.
really?
Yeah.
Is she a likable villain? A villain is or is she or a he?
Yeah, it's a girl.
Girl, is she a likable villain? Do you understand her villain? Like,
Um, I think she's like a complex villain. There's like
complex.
times where you are on her side, and then there's times where you're kind of like, you kind of feel like she was trying to be a dick, you
Mm.
know? But
Yeah, yeah. And there are different levels of villainous.
yeah, that's true. No, yeah, you're totally right. But like one thing that I am just applaud you guys for is like you're essentially giving up your ability to tell your own story because you're giving your narrative to these
Oh, yeah.
producers that are like producing a show. And I just am curious, like, what is that like to surrender your like reputation and your narrative and your experience to the editing process of a reality show?
I love your question. That is a complex question in its own, but I think that you and I can have an answer for it together. Um, when I signed up to do Survivor the first time, back in I think it was 2012, I did not have the grasp or understanding that like how the whole business of reality TV worked to begin with. I did not understand what it meant to be a villain or a hero.
Mhm.
I when we were done with Survivor Philippines, I tore my ACL for day one on the season, and I made it until day 37 with a torn ACL. So when I was done with the show, I thought I was going to be having a hero edit, right? Because I'm like, okay, well, they're gonna love me. I'm gonna be America's sweetheart. Like I played this whole season with a torn. It never showed. The edit cut that
Yeah,
completely.
they did not show that.
So they did not. So it's like it was a humbling experience. But I had signed my life away, right? So it's
Yeah,
just like you're literally giving up control of your entire life and your narrative and everything. It's
right.
it's very humbling. It's very humbling to give control to other people. And usually you're giving control about your story to a system that is so patriarchal that goes back centuries just with how society works. So I don't fault that industry at all.
Hmm.
And I was so uneducated on so many different aspects of everything that just now, and that's like what, 10 years later, that I am being able to just kind of own it and understand, because now I understand more of like how there is a narrative in television and that there is characterization. characterize you. And usually women are characterized to be villains if they're not, conforming to the status quo, if they're being authentic, if they have an opinion, and if they speak and they just ask questions. I've been known my whole life growing up as the why girl. Like my whole family, I wouldn't, I was the annoying girl because I wanted to know why. I'm not just going to conform to what you guys are telling me. So
Mhm.
I think that on the show, I probably was the why girl, and I was labeled also as the annoying girl because I wanted to know why. So if a woman has attitude, intelligence, they usually are going to be, edited as the villain. But like what we were saying earlier, there are different types of being a villain. So I don't know. I think that kind of gets us in the direction of your question. Hopefully
Mhm.
answering it.
So did
It's
you,
so complex.
I know it's really complex. And one thing that I heard you say is like you didn't know what you were getting into. And that's something I've heard Parv say before too, is like her first season, you're like, so you don't know the extent that they're gonna like edit you or like manipulate you when they're doing your confessionals.
The
So
confessional is where the magic happens. The TV magic happens is literally in the confessionals. Because, I first of all, I didn't even know they were being recorded 24/7. Do you understand how many indecent and inappropriate comments I've made about some of the Survivor producers without even knowing? And Jeff, oh my God, so many times he would piss me off with his patriarchal figure, and then I would be talking so much shit at camp, and then I would like see them acting certain ways with me, and then one day it was Kelly Wentworth. She's like, you're being recorded 24/7, right? I'm like, are you fucking sorry? Like,
yeah, you can say whatever you want.
are you fucking kidding? And she's like, yeah, like so careful. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, like no, I was
Oh, because
literally
you have your mic packs
like,
on the whole
well,
time.
they have mics everywhere around camp too.
I like literally could not. Well, and then I start thinking about all the crap that I say about people, and I'm like, I could not. That's why I'm like, you guys are really brave to go on there because if like the things that I say behind closed doors,
Girl.
I could be, they could do a lot with my footage.
Have you been watching The Jinx?
Wait, what
Like
is,
I love murder mysteries. There's this series on HBO Max. It's about this real estate mogul that killed a bunch of people, like his wife, his best friend. Anyway, but he never got caught because he's a very powerful man in the real estate industry and he has a lot of money. And then they were doing this HBO documentary about him, and
oh,
they
this
had
is real?
real, yeah, and they mic'd him. So he goes to the bathroom after he's doing his confessional and he confesses to the crime while he's mic'd. And I mean, he's in jail right now. And they have like the second part of the documentary that just came out right now. It's fascinating.
I didn't see that, but I do remember seeing that on TikTok, how he like goes into the bathroom and he's like, oh, they
Yeah.
like their minds would be blown if they knew I actually did it or something like
Yeah,
that.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
And,
feel like
and being on Survivor is like living in a boat. I've lived in a boat before. Back in, I'm already in my 40s. So back in 1999, I had the opportunity to live in Svalbard, Spitsbergen in the Pole in a vessel with scientists from Germany that were studying the melting of the glaciers. Yeah, global warming. And I had this opportunity because my godfather is a captain on big vessels, and I thought for a moment that I wanted to be a chef. So he got me the opportunity, and I got the job as a prep cook on the boat. So
wow, that sounds scary.
yeah, yeah. So, when you're living in a boat, you have this community, and it's just like the outside world is almost like doesn't exist. You build this life with your boat friends, and when we were there for like 30 days. When we were out, it was just like so weird to just get acquainted to the real
Mhm.
world again. And that's like how Survivor is when you're on that island leaving that reality, even though you have cameras all around you, it's like it's such a surreal experience.
Yeah, it sounds really intense just from the like the dopamine detox of even just the idea of sitting alone or not alone, but like with nothing, no screens on a beach. Like that
Yeah,
alone, I feel like would
no food.
unravel me.
Raining. I mean, at least on the seasons that I was on, it would rain nonstop all the time. Philippines, you know, you have
Oh yeah, you
the
guys had terrible weather.
terrible. It was awful, 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 awful. So I think that Survivor is a social experiment, and it will,
Yeah.
you know, as any social experiment, will bring different facets of any human being. I think everyone has a villain in them and has have like a hero in them too. I mean, we humans, we're such complex beings. So, you know, I think that, and then Survivor is a TV show that they can show what 30 minutes of what's happening there once a week. Like a lot of
Mhm.
the story is so out of context. It's just so hard to just, you know,
It's all very simplified and like you said, like everyone's made a character for the simplicity of the show and also for the drama. But I feel like when people watch shows, especially reality TV, they don't draw a line between the person and the character. And so
right,
I'm
because they
just
think
curious.
reality TV.
Yeah, because right, it's like in the name of people are like, oh, well, this is real.
Right.
And so I'm just curious, like, what your experience was like, because
Oh my
that is crazy.
God, it
Like,
was insane. Death threats,
oh my,
stalkers. To this day, like I keep my phone on silent. I don't, you know, my phone ever rings like that. You know, like I don't. You know, I get afraid of doing things by myself. I don't trust a lot of people. My circle of friends is like this little. I just don't trust people. Like
and it's still like
and
that
I was in a, I mean, I am a real estate broker, and it makes it very hard because I need to market my business. It has affected my personal life in many different ways. I mean, just now finally I found a partner that understands me, that I can have a relationship with, you know, like, but before that it was just very, a lot of like toxicity came with it too. But now I understand. You know what I mean? I
yeah.
understand the whole industry and the fabric of it. And I am investing so much of myself, so much on myself, that I look at the whole, I'm grateful for the whole experience, really, because I've grown into really accepting me for who I am, right?
Mhm.
Like for the longest time, I don't know if I even loved myself, you know, and I came to the realization that the only reason why I probably never performed as well as I wanted to on Survivors because I was lacking that confidence.
I mean, that's a lot for like a young woman
I had
to
just
not.
gotten my paperwork, you know, you got to think about like the context of that girl, you know, wow, you're going to be on CBS TV, you're going to people please, you're going to do anything to just make it happen. And they know everything about your life, but they don't really know everything. Like they didn't even know that I come from a biracial family. Like my mom is black, my dad is white. You know what I mean? It's just like they didn't. It's just so many things. Yeah. So they probably thought I'm like this spoiled Brazilian girl that traveled the world, and just no. I came from a background where I saw my parents struggling. You know, and I'm called the miracle child in the family because I wasn't supposed to even be alive. And, you know, I had all these dreams and aspirations. I was the Y girl, like I was telling you in the beginning of this chat. And I wanted to see the world. I was never the princess girl. I was always I was always different. So there were always questions. And when you're just, you know, not a conformist and you're not just like feeding the status quo,
Yeah.
wow, you gotta dig in deep.
Yeah, definitely.
Grateful, even though it's a very complex, um, you know, situation and show, and then just see yourself so raw on TV. I'm grateful now. Like that made me have so much more confidence in myself, and seeing other, you know, strong women that like poverty that have done that too. I'm like, that's a cool girl. I want to, like I get inspired by that.
Yeah, I do think there is something to it when you just get like completely stripped in regards to your reputation because you're
Oh, yeah.
kind of like, okay, fuck, I have, like, what do I have if if people don't think I'm a good person?
Lost friends. I've lost friends that did not understand.
From
I'm
Survivor?
a survivor. Yeah, I've lost friends that really did not understand why. Like they
That's
didn't get it.
crazy.
In moments that even I am not proud of watching, myself. But like what can I do? Like
Oh my gosh, but like you're on an island for 39 days.
starving.
Like everyone's gonna have a moment where they're not, super. I mean, literally, like I said, I can't imagine how crazy I would go in that scenario. My favorite one of you is when you're like, shaking the coconut and it like rolls and it hits.
I
Oh my
had
God.
a machete on my hand and I was trying to break the coconut open. I think from day 30. I'm like this tiny and like had no strength. I'm trying to open the coconut. And Scoopin and Malcolm were being so annoying and awful towards me. And I'm
Yeah.
just trying to be resourceful and trying to just like, put on my big girl pants and just survive. And everybody's telling me you have no chance. Nobody likes you. You're never going to win. I'm like, I have a chance. I'm going to win. I'm like, let me open this coconut. And it was just like karma.
I really feel like that was karma because they were really like
So mean.
that whole part of the season. I feel like the whole like the last third of the season, it's kind of hard. It's hard for me to watch the Survivor seasons where I feel like there's like bullying going on. And like I get it, everyone's probably ready to bite each other's heads off, but like when it's really like, I don't know, there's certain points where it feels gross. And that was one of them. And so when you like hit it and it rolls and hits him in the head, I was kind of like
Right?
that's what you get, dude.
That's what you get. Like literally, there were so many moments that were really magical that I really do feel that I have this guardian angel, this fairy, this witch, this whatever it's called, this powerful force, Mother Nature, the source, God, whatever it is, really with me there in so many moments. And I always knew deep inside you're not gonna let me win, but in many different ways, I have won. And now,
Yeah.
I feel so good. And I feel that the whole system has been changing too. That television kind of is changing as well. So, people like me that, an immigrant, a Latin woman, a woman in her 40s, I think that we need that visibility and see women like me winning because there are so many women like that in the world that need to see that as an example.
Yeah, it's so true. And that leads me to my next question, which is in a second chance, you were in like an alliance, the Witches Alliance,
Which is
with the Witches Coven, even better, with Sierra and Cass, who are like two. I mean, I seriously think Sierra is one of her lying. I know that's maybe not like a great life skill, but her lying is exceptional. Like it's like the
great.
best lying I've ever seen. And Cass is amazing too. And
And
it's just
Kelly Wentworth, everybody
oh, and
loves.
Kelly.
Yeah, Kelly Wentworth was in the alliance with us. The
Oh,
blonde girl.
she was?
Yeah, it was Kelly Wentworth, Abi-Maria Gomes, Cass, and Sierra.
Okay, it's been a while since I've seen that
Yeah,
season.
yeah,
That was
yeah,
messed up. I don't know why I didn't remember Kelly was in that, but it was just interesting to me how much you guys were not only separated from the main group, but also how there was this like smear campaign around you guys. Like
yeah.
I don't know, I'm just curious how that was for you and like how you and the group like on an individual and group level dealt with that in the
Well,
moment.
I think we relied on each other, that witchhood, the sisterhood of the witches, the witches hood. We relied on the coven. But Callie had that idol that she found during the challenge with her, and that was our saving grace. That was like such a magical moment when she played that idol and she got, savage. voted out because he was one of the biggest campaigners against the witches. He did not want to see a powerful woman bidding him, like
That
so
was very satisfying. That's one of those idol plays where you're like, ooh, ooh, ooh,
it
ooh.
was so satisfying. Yeah. So I think that, I think that just
And then when he's walking out, you're like, hey, what did you say? Hey, at least you
at
made
least
it
you
to
made
the
to the jury. Because no, literally he would be talking about it at camp. He's like, I would like to at least make it to the jury. He would say it all the time. And I mean, at least you made it to the
hey,
jury. Be
he, you
careful
know
what you
what?
wish for. Because people,
Yeah,
when they're on there, they're really afraid of saying that they want to win, right? Like everybody's just like walking in eggshells. Like
yeah.
nobody really wants. Everybody's just being like, "Oh, so suspicious." But and I kept on saying, just want to make it to the jury because when you make it to the jury, you're getting closer. Like 10 people. Usually, 10 people are left at that point. So we were just getting closer and closer. Well, yeah, at least you made it to the jury, Savage.
He got what he wanted.
Got what he
The
wanted.
spell was cast.
The spell was cast. Exactly. I think that was literally like when you're asking me like what was it? I think it was a moment that we as women got together and we stirred that pot and it was a perfect spell. And Callie, she was very secretive about that idol too. She did not tell. I didn't know. See, no one knew. So he made the moment even more powerful.
Yeah, you guys had a powerful group of women.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
We really wanted a woman to win that season. But it's a bummer to say that, but
That
like
season was felt very like man driven. Like, not all feel so driven by men, but the personalities on that one felt very, maybe because it was like a comeback season. I don't know. But I mean, I don't know. What do you think about
I
that?
think that they had some pregame alliances, unfortunately. And
Mm,
that makes it very hard. I don't
yeah.
I think Poverty is more like me. I think she keeps it to herself. I don't think she pre-games with people when she goes on those shows. I don't know. Like I haven't seen her or talked to her in so long. But I have, and for the longest time I felt very outshone from the Survivor community because I guess when I played Philippines the first time, I don't know. I just felt like they just really enjoyed belittling me and making fun of my gameplay.
Yeah, yeah.
So it just felt kind of weird, and I always felt so awkward. And I was lacking that confidence that we were talking about because, I was learning English more and more at that time. Like, I was speaking English then for like what, 10 years only? I came here, I was like an ESL student. I got in California in 2000. I got my
That's so vulnerable too, to go on TV in a different language.
different culture, and then you feel like you are representing a whole culture. And
Hmm.
then I had so many people of my own culture be like, "You're not a representation of Latin or Brazilians. You're such a bitch." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I swear I'm not
Or
that."
maybe, yeah, maybe you can be like, yeah, Brazilian bitch.
Yeah.
Represent.
Now I am owning it more and more. Yeah.
Yeah, but as like a 20, how old were
The
you when you
Brazilian
got on?
witch. Oh, the first time I was on, I was already in my 30s. I was 32.
What? Oh, you look really young
I'm
on
44 now. I'm a witch. We don't age.
Yeah, girl, you gotta tell me what you put in that drink, because I would have guessed you were in your early 20s
It's all the
on
Reiki that I
the
do it myself. I'm a Reiki practitioner too. I believe in energy a lot.
hmm yeah. And let me look at my notes for the next one. Oh yeah. Okay, so the next question I have, okay, well I have two. So the first one is, how do you see the like experience of fawning or people pleasing on Survivor? I know it's like a social game, so there's probably a ton of pressure to people
So
please.
much pressure to
Hmm.
people please so much. But that's also a part of the system, right? It's so systematic. If you think about it, I was telling you earlier about this movie, A Doll's House. And you see funny more from women, by the way. People pleaser, like women as people pleasers rather than men. Men are more like, like
Mm-hmm.
the ego and the narcissistic figures, and you see some woman trying to like please towards the man or towards the situation, and a lot of them trying people please Jeff. And I have a problem with authority, and I'm the why girl, and I, I'll tell you, Jeff and I would have some very interesting tribal councils. Yeah, like he would ask me some questions sometimes, and I would question him back a lot. And I don't think he liked that. There were a few times that they had to shut down the cameras because they did not like how I was communicating with him. But it would be so obvious that he was putting me in the spot. And I'm like, bro, you're
Right.
not going to do this to me. I see what the fuck you're doing. I would be so
Uh-huh.
confrontational. Yeah.
I kind of love that you would be like,
I'm not a conformist. I never will be. I'm the white girl, and that's okay.
I mean, I think like you can call it what it is and say like it's reality TV and they had a character that they had planned out for you to be. And so they wanted footage of you saying things that were probably inflammatory
For sure.
that they could, continue to paint that picture.
Yeah. 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 Which is okay. I own it now. It's fine. If it also opens the opportunity for the discussion, for being honest about the whole thing. The problem that I like with this whole experience, when they keep on the narrative of you're unlikable. Like, for example, like there were a few times, and look, I do like Jeff, and I do like I love my survivor family. It's like this whole dysfunctional family. Jeff is like that uncle that's trying to give you advice that you really don't want to listen to sometimes, and sometimes I have issues when we are in activities that have to do with survivor, and they're like, oh, because if you're unlikable, you have to look inward. I'm like, bro, you're not starving on a fucking island for $1 million. Like, don't give this type of advice for players and call them unlikable on your podcast, because these people are starving. They haven't slept properly. Like, you should be a little bit careful about the shit that you say about the people that you put on your show.
That's a good point, actually. I never thought of it like that, where it's like maybe he should do like a survivor experience.
I think it would be awesome
What's
to
up?
I think it would be awesome to have him as a castaway on Survivor.
Well, I think it's probably really easy to be like, dig deep. You got this when like you're like going to a hotel and having like meals. Like
Yeah,
I
and then
couldn't,
there goes Abby lacking down
yeah.
behind one
Look how
with
lazy
my
she is. And you're
torn
like,
ACL, bro.
yeah, you're like, I haven't eaten in a week, but okay.
Yeah.
So me and Parv, we do a lot of work on like we have a course on like teaching people how to be a villain and like own their villain and how to like create capacity in their bodies and nervous system to be disliked, like you said. But I'm curious, like if because you have obviously like this 10 years of experience being disliked and totally labeled a villain like outside of
And unlikable,
your
and
own
annoying.
control. Right, like the whole list on the show, and then it sounds like it followed you off the show too. What would you tell people who are either going through the same thing? Because I know that there's people that ask some questions that are also currently playing Survivor, um, or just people that, because I think a lot of us experience like smear campaigns or, like smaller versions of this in our own life. So like what did you do that helped you get through that?
I dig deep. Um, no pun intended.
Yeah.
I just used that word. Sorry, Jeffrey. I dig deep. I spent a lot of time alone. I cut off people that weren't in the same wavelength as I was. Um, I spent a lot of time alone. I wrote a lot. I decided to invest on myself, on my education. I went back to school. I'm still in school. I'm learning. I'm reading a lot more. Yoga has helped me a lot. Healing energy, to Reiki, therapy, community of like-minded people. I think it's very important for you to have a community of like-minded people that will be supportive, and family. um, growth, time, time also, um, and just being truthful to myself and writing things down and knowing and being alert and sensitive and listening to what's happening around you, connecting with nature, and realizing that a lot of people's reactions towards you is not literally because of you, it's because of them, or an experience that happened to them that already shaped their image of a person that is like you, for example, or something that maybe happened in their childhood that whoever has a characteristic of personality that's similar to that person that is you, we will just not like some people, they just don't jive, you know. In Portuguese, in Brazilian culture, we say, às vezes o santo não bate. Sometimes your soul just don't connect with each other, and that's okay. It's not about you. It's just Mary parts. Time to move on. And that was it. It was a lesson.
Mm-hmm. Mary part.
And Mary part, bro. You go live your life. Good
Yeah,
for
that's I feel like that's real though. Just being like some things. You seem very like the kind of personality who's kind of like this is what you get. What is it? What you see is what you get.
what you
So
see, what you got. Yeah.
yeah. So have you experienced because I know a lot of people that are heavy people pleasers, they go through this period where they're like people pleasing and then they're like, oh my God, I'm getting like fucking exhausted and sick from this. So they'll people please less and then all their friendships die. Did you experience that or do you feel like
Yeah.
you've been more
Okay.
transparent from the start?
Yes, and I experienced a lot more of that when I immigrated to the United States because I had to fit in. I mean, I am this little fish out of water. I mean, I didn't grow up here. I didn't have any friends. I had to make friends. So yeah, I was people pleasing, you know, but that people pleasing put a lot of people in my life for that moment, that they're
Yeah.
not a part of my life anymore, because I
Yeah.
finally realized we have nothing in common. You and I are such different people, and I probably people pleased out of survival, right? It's a survival tactic. You're trying to adapt and it happens, and then you conform and you're just trying to fit the status quo, and then knowledge is power. The more you learn, and then this person treats you in a very shitty freaking way, and you're like, you know what, I need to find my voice. I need to find, so having those clashes sometimes are important because then you learn that lesson and you just move on to the next. I had
Hmm.
so many of those experiences. I've been putting abusive relationships because of that. And I'm talking about love relationships and friendships that were abusive. Many because I was just trying to be a people pleaser. And I was always putting myself in the shadow, in the back, in the like, anyways,
Yeah, like last prioritizing
last and
last.
everybody else first. And then I think that's probably why I did not have a chance of winning Survivor in my both seasons, because I wasn't thinking about me first. I wasn't being confident on myself. I was doing everything for everybody else. I was fawning over Pete. He is actually an ex-boyfriend. God riddance, may he rest in peace. But we had such a toxic relationship since the show. We met on the show. And like, he was just so hot and so handsome, and I had the dream that I was going to meet my partner one day on a deserted island, and then, oh my God, they put me on Survivor with this guy that's giving me all this attention, and then I go back and watch it, and then we're together again. It's like, oh, don't pay attention to this. And I'm like, bro, you're literally trying to put me against another strong woman. You're like being a whole villain, and then your alliance is the bro chacho alliance and the three amigos, and then I am this girl that's like unaware and out of touch with you. So intense.
Hmm. Wait, it was Pete on the Philippines?
Philippines, yeah.
I don't remember him. It's been so long since I've seen.
He built an alliance with Malcolm and Carter, and they were like the three amigos, the tres amigos.
Oh, okay, I do remember him. Oh yeah, he was really cute.
He's very he's very hot to this day, and that's why it was very hard to part away. But I had
Yeah, I can imagine. Oh my gosh, that's so funny you guys dated after.
for years.
Yeah, I do. Okay, it's all coming back to me now. It was him, yeah, Carter, and then
Malcolm
Malcolm, and then oh my gosh,
Penner,
Henner. Thank you. Yes. Okay, yeah, I remember them. They totally had a. You were on some really like broy seasons.
such broy seasons. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then Second Chance, there was like Jeremy, and then like Savage, and
I
there's lots
know,
of.
and unfortunately, and that's why I was talking about the pregame alliance. The thing, like Savage and then Jeremy and Spencer, they had Tasha in their back pockets. I think Tasha had played with Spencer on a
Yeah,
season. They were like kind of like East Coast or Midwest people, and they were like talking before going on the show already. And you can see that they made it to the end. But it was just so obvious, and that was pissing me off so much. We're trying to break that, but
yeah,
no.
I can imagine that's frustrating when you're like going in and trying to.
To
Yeah,
play the freaking game. And that's what kind of pisses me off sometimes about going back on those reality TV shows. And I would love to go back now with my newfound confidence and without any people fawning and just being the strong woman that I am. I think it would be such a difference. I think a lot more women would be inspired. But it's really frustrating when you go and you're trying to play this game, to win a lot of money that's life changing
yeah.
and bullshit people they're saying that they're not playing for the money. You're playing for the freaking goddamn money, okay? It's $1 million to change your life. Yeah, it's very frustrating. That's one of like the only pet peeves I have on those returning seasons because some of these people they're really good friends. Like the season that Poverty just lost,
Oh yeah, they didn't stand a chance. None of the
they
old
didn't stand a chance. Like it was so frustrating. I hate that. But I would love to be on that show.
on 40.
Traitors.
Oh, on Traders. Oh, you're talking about Traders. Oh, I thought you meant
Traitors.
season
The
40. I'm sorry.
Poverty, like she didn't stand a chance to, or on 42 Winners at War.
Oh yeah, you're right. Because it was super. There was like
The
the
Housewives,
Housewives. Yeah.
and then that
Okay, and her and Peter.
her Peter,
I was like, what's happening? Are they gonna kiss?
I know, right? Peter, oh my gosh, Peter, but like he's so non-committal. Yeah, are they gonna kiss? Oh my
Did you
gosh.
watch his season of The Bachelor?
I did not, but I did do a podcast with like one of these bachelor podcasters, and then he gave me the info
The
on
rundown.
Rundown. And then I did meet him in person when Sandra was here for the when they had the reunion. And I met him, very charming, very cute, very handsome. I can see
Nice.
why girls fawn all over him.
Yeah, I can see it too. He seems like a sweet guy.
See how much of a witch I am. I don't like calling me a bitch. He comes to me, he's like, "Oh my God, you're the survivor girl." I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I really want to be on that show." I'm like, "You won't stand a chance. You're too skinny for it." And he looks at me like, "Really?" I'm like, "Bro, like, you need to put on some pounds, like, if you want to be on Survivor."
Yeah, I've heard that's what people do. I just saw a clip of Natalie saying that she like purposely gained a bunch of weight before
Yeah,
season 40.
you need the lipids. You need.
Yeah, you gotta bulk up a little bit. Okay, so I have some questions that people sent in, and I have one from Jessica Chong, who's on season 46 of Survivor, and
Oh,
she asked, "How did you recover from your time on Survivor?"
How did I recover from my time on Survivor? Thank you so much, Jessica, for the question. Um, you know, Listen to this podcast. I think that the moment that you look at that fleeting experience as what it is, it's an experience. My dad actually gave me a great advice when I was going through like, very like depressive moments and anxiety. I had some anxiety because of it too. And he told me, he said in Portuguese, he said, tudo passa. Everything passes. Everything, the good times go, the bad times
Mm.
go, everything is fleeting. Just look at it as like, just have fun with it. Just try and have fun with it. Like it's about like just just letting go and trying to really look at that experience as something that happened. There are so many moments that I'm not proud of, but I've tried and learned from it. So many moments that are out of my control. I dig deep and I'm learning about the whole system. It's a system that you can't control. I mean, it's easier said than done, as it is what it is, but just try and have fun with the whole thing, and be kind to the community. I feel that it's not like you even want to change people's perceptions of
Mhm.
you, but when you treat people with kindness, people really do try and look at you with a different perspective.
Yeah. And one thing that you said before we started recording too is that you're taking a class where it's like a literature class, and it
Yeah.
sounds like you're starting to understand, or you're like understanding on a deep level, like the structural things that are in place that make us witchy, that make us women witches. And I feel like I'm reading a book right now on witches too. I actually thought of you when I bought it. But I feel like understanding our place in the like literally history of humankind, of like, I'm not the first one that people have hated. You're not the first woman that people have gone after. Like, it's been around for forever. It makes it feel less personal. You know what I mean?
Actually, when people talk too much shit about a person to me, that actually makes me question about them. I'm like, that person's not here to defend themselves. Why are you talking that much shit about that person? Like, can I talk to her too and see? Like, there are so many different sides of every story, and then there is the truth, right? Because everybody looks at experiences so differently. A lot of people don't know the context of a situation and where that's coming from. And for centuries, like we're talking about it earlier,
Mhm.
women were, supposed to just follow gender norms. And there is this patriarchy that's been happening and how do you question the status quo, and how do you change that? You know how much brave you have to be to do that.
Yeah, a
So,
lot.
yeah, it's a lot because not a lot of people will understand, and then they will villainize you for it.
Yeah, and it sucks. It honestly fucking sucks when you get villainized.
Yeah, it does. And
Mhm.
I've lost job opportunities. It has messed with my bread and butter. Oh yeah, for a while I thought, oh, I want to do that the flight attendant thing for private jets, and I was put in contact with the manager of the whole company. I'm like, oh my gosh, that would be so fun. No, they didn't want to hire me because they did not like me on Survivor. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, no, it has affected my money making skills.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what people fear, is like the okay, so there's the social aspect, right? Of like, I'm gonna be separated. Like literally you guys were separated on second chance. They like
Yeah.
separated you socially. And then
Oh,
there's the literal like, it can affect your income
oh, yeah,
because of a story.
yeah, yeah,
What the fuck?
yeah. Just tell
Wow.
Jessica, just focus on the people that really love and understand you. The people that question you, like, try and understand why they are questioning you and your motives. And if they don't, then I was uninvited to a wedding. I'm telling you, a friend of mine uninvited me
Really?
to a wedding. Yeah. People just sometimes don't understand you. And look, this patriarchal um system is so deep and ingrained in people. This girl, she was friends with me for 20 years. And she was the girl, she was like my ride or die. Like, in San Francisco, we did everything together. We have so many fun memories. She starts dating this guy. She wasn't sure about him, Brazilian guy. She's American. She wasn't sure about him. She's like, I think I want to set you up with him. And I'm like, no, girl, you went out on a date with him. You never know. She comes to visit me, goes on a few dates with him. Fast forward 6 months, they get engaged. And then the wedding is happening. I'm invited to the wedding. We're excited, putting it all together. And then I'm invited to a party with all of their friends, and I'm hanging out with one of the friends, and they're like, "Oh, how do you know the guy's name?" And I'm like, "Oh, I know him because she wanted to set me up with him. How funny. Like, look, they're getting married now." The guy got so offended by that. I hurt his ego so much that he told the girl she's not welcome in our wedding anymore. And I'm like, I'm not marrying you, bro. Like, it's just because I denied you that, like, what? Like,
Wow.
you know, the system.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to
Delicate.
keep your
Sometimes they're delicate.
mouth shut, and I have a hard time keeping my mouth shut. I mean, it was
Mhm.
the truth. And what people should laugh, like, it's funny. I was like, that is funny. How are you like not laughing? Like, I'm uninvited to your wedding. You've known this, like, whatever. Like, you're not my friend. You've never been my friend. True colors. It was just time. I mean, it was hard at the moment, but I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's a terrible way to
it's like,
split.
yeah,
Yeah, that sucks. That's brutal.
brutal. Yeah.
That's super brutal. Someone asked, how do the
You just froze. You just froze.
okay. I think, am I back?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
my
back.
internet is like being weird.
I
Um,
know.
okay, so I'll say all the question again. So it's, how do you keep from slowly believing what other people think of you?
How do I, how do I,
Like, how do you stop yourself from slowly starting to believe what people think of you?
how do I not believe what people think of me? How do
Yeah,
I,
like how do you, yeah.
um, how do I not, like, how do I stop believing what people think of me? I mean, I just kind of know myself. I think I know myself better than anybody else does. I mean, I think it's impossible for everyone to know you more than you, right, Callie? I mean, do you think anybody else knows your deepest secrets, your wants, your desires? Like, what made you want to be who you are right now? Like, they don't. I know me. I know my core. Like, I know my
Mm.
truths. I know what makes me Abby. So I think that just digging deep and doing meditation, actually, I think it's very important, and breathing work, and moving your body, and taking walks. I take walks without music on my ears, and I try and connect with nature, and I listen to my thoughts, and I listen to my essence. I know I'm a good person. I know that what I'm doing is a work for humanity. You know, I want people to be happy. I don't have you. I don't do things because I want people to like suffer. So I know me. I know my truth.
Mm. Yeah, I hear you with that last part too of like I know that I might be the villain in your story, but I know that I did not like make the poison to poison you.
No, it's not coming from a bad place. Sometimes
Right.
the truth hurts, and I'll tell you, but then maybe I was put in that position for a reason, for your growth.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yeah.
Someone asked, and you can feel free to talk as much or as little on this as you want, but someone said, did Jeff Probst have a problem with Abby? He directly insulted her a few times in the Philippines.
I think he did. I think he had a problem with him because, like I was telling you earlier, that I didn't know I was being recorded. There was this one producer that we were talking, and I cracked him up. But I said it. I was so pissed at Jeff. I told them that Jeff had Napoleon syndrome.
Oh, okay. See, that's something that will really piss off a man. Is Jeff short?
Oh, he's this little.
Are you serious? Oh, he might then. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
he's
know
a
if that's
small
showing up
guy.
on
He's
someone's
a
list
Scorpio.
too, but
Sorry. Oh my gosh, Jeff, he probably hates me. I'll see him tomorrow too. Oh fuck.
well, I
He said it.
mean,
He knows I said it. I was being recorded and I didn't know, but I was so pissed because he was like talking about the culture of Abby. And I remember that was in the Philippines. And I'm like, oh shit, I called him a freak. I told him that he had a Napoleon syndrome. He's gonna be so pissed. He's a Scorpio, he's a man, his ego is offended. I do this a lot and I don't mean it. But like if I'm being attacked, oh, be careful. I'm coming for the jugular. I'm coming. I'll get where it hurts. For
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, it sounds like you found it.
I found it. Yeah.
I do remember that time when they were talking about they're like, oh, it's Brazilian culture. And then they're like, no, I just think this is was that
Ultra
Denise?
Abby, Denise. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and I voted for her to win at the end.
I think I remember that. And I remember being like very impressed with, because I feel like most
Rated the
people,
game.
yeah, I feel like most people, I know it's a game, but a lot of people get to the end and I mean, look at Parvati, like
It's hard not to
no
take
one voted
personal.
for her.
It's very hard not to take personal.
Yeah, and so I'm just I'm just this is my own question now, but how did you separate that? Because I feel like you're one of the very few players who gets to the
Like that analogy that I gave you earlier with living in the boat. It's a whole different society. It's like a cult. Sorry. It's like they put you on that island and I just go back constantly to the principles of the game. Outwit, outplay, outlast. One person wins. It's a freaking game. I just always, when in doubt, go back to the game principles. Every time I'm suffering, I'm having a hard time. What is the game about? It's a social experiment. You're throwing Americans from all different walks. And first of all, when I was on Survivor Philippines, I didn't even understand how complex this whole religion narrative in this country was. I didn't understand the whole Republican and Democrat and this whole political thing.
Mm.
I didn't understand that people did not like immigrants, Latin people, women. I was so oblivious. I was such like in my 30s, but it's
Did you
like,
feel that on the show?
well, I did feel it, but I didn't understand why because
Oh,
I
you
didn't
just felt like
grasp
hostility?
yeah, I just felt hostile. And
Mm.
there were some people that would like, how can you even be an American or have an American like, how are you? I'm like, well, I am a dual citizen. I was sponsored for my green card and then I applied for 10 years to get my citizenship and I got, I mean, it's like, oh, is it like having a immunity idol? I'm like, all right, bro, you need to go read some books. Like,
I feel like that's such a weird thing that people would even bring up because I feel like America is literally known as the melting pot, but like my
right?
background's in cultural studies, so that's a whole another podcast. But um are you able to go like 15 past? Or do you want to do a hard stop at the hour?
Um, we can go a bit longer. Yeah, I do have a nutrition homework that I gotta do, and then I'm taking business law right now too, and I have to write a paper on that tonight.
Okay.
So
Let's do 10 past and then we'll do hard stop at 10 past.
it's
Oh my
good. Are
gosh.
you satisfied? You happy? Do
I
you have?
have I have um I have two more questions from the fans. Also, business law sucks, so props to you. I That's a tough class.
I mean, not more than accounting, okay? Let's not.
Accounting, I liked accounting.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I had a really good teacher though.
No, the thing that I don't have a teacher, I'm doing it online, and
Oh
that's
yeah, then
it's like how many FIFO, LIFOs, weighted average problems do you want me to do? Like it's just they give you so many problems, and I'm like, bro, like I still have to write a paper on the doll's house.
oh yeah. Well,
Like,
I feel like business law you actually use a lot though. I'm
yeah,
sure you use it all the time in real
yeah,
estate.
yeah,
You
yeah.
can kind of like threaten to sue people. I mean,
Yeah, all the time. And I threaten to sue people that talks badly about my name. Now I'll be like, you're defaming me.
exactly.
I had to do that with RC because she hated me and she was defaming my name. And I'm like, if this woman keeps on talking trash about me, I'm going to sue her.
Yeah, she really had it out for you.
She had it out for me. Oh yeah, like and she did not separate the game from
No, and I actually remember there was this clip of you guys at Ponderosa.
Oh,
And I
she.
was like, what the heck? Because I get, okay, I'm sure I can't even feel like I can say anything because I've not lived it. I'm sure it's like, but I feel like once you're out, maybe there's like a little bit less tension, but she was just like right there.
I tried and begged for her forgiveness in so many different ways, but man, like, it's $1 million. It's life changing, and she comes from a very wealthy family. She's okay. I don't, so I wanted that money.
Yeah. And I feel like at a certain
Wanted
point,
to. She just wanted to win. I mean, and I'm not talking anything badly about anybody that could, like, more power to you. That's great, but like, be kind to everybody. Some people don't have the same opportunities. They have to build that opportunity for themselves, and that's me. I've always everything I've had to make it happen for myself, and to this day I still do.
hmm I'm gonna do the last question because we just answered one. It was behind the scenes details, and I feel like we just got one. So this last question says, Parvati called Penner a rat and cancer, yet she was seen as likable. How does likability work? And I think what they're trying to ask is like Parvati had like clashes with people, but she was seen as like likable, like people, but she also was hated. I like know that for a fact.
Yeah,
Um,
I think she has moment. I think her survivor story is very polarizing. It depends on who you're
mhm,
asking. It depends on what person, what background, and I think that's another thing that people need to understand. And that's what I tell, the newbies. That a lot of these people that are hating on you, they're rooting for your enemy on the game. So that's the thing too. Like we are 20 people out there, and some of these people fit a certain personality profile, and then they have, there's people rooting for them, and then when you vote them out, they will attack the shit out of you, and especially now with social media.
mhm. Yeah, that's true. I can't even imagine what it's like now with the I mean, because Parvati said people were literally writing her snail mail, like writing her letters. And I'm like,
I've
now
gotten
people just
letters from
text.
jail, like jail. CBS has been like, okay, well, we have some like inmates writing. I got a letter from Big Fish. I was just like, oh my God, wow. People are like watching me in jail. Okay.
That's
I
kind of cool though. You're
It
like,
is Big Fish. Hey, Big Fish. I sometimes get like random pictures sent to me to different offices that I've worked, and they are, yeah, asking for autographs. I don't know how, but somebody found my home address and sent me something, and that is very scary. Yeah.
that's really creepy.
Send me something from like all the way in Yugoslavia or something. I'm like, okay, that's like in a whole nother country. That's okay.
Yeah, as long as it's from far.
Yeah. And
Was
there's
it
a
like a
lot of
nice
money
gift?
to be made with, huh?
Was it a nice gift or was it like
Oh
a
no, it was like
horse head?
no, it was just a picture of myself for me to sign and send it back. Yeah, literally a picture of like an autograph they wanted.
What?
And do you
That's
understand how much money they want to pay for anything that I ever wore on Survivor? Girl, I could be very rich right now.
well, at least you'll never be, you'll always have that entrepreneurship opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, sure.
hmm I like to think when people, I mean, that you experience this on a whole nother level, but when the haters, they say that hate and love are very close in your brain. And so when people are like really hating me, I'm just like, you're obsessed with me.
Seriously, why are you so obsessed with me? One of like when
Yeah.
they used to talk so much shit, and still is one of my favorite little like woman rap songs, and I would listen to it all the time and would get so pumped up, like especially with the beginnings, the one that goes like, "You don't need to like me, you don't even need to love me, but you're gonna have to respect me." Like I love that because I'm like, you know what? I don't need you to like me, I don't need you to love me, but I need you to respect me, and that's a message that I sent strong to RC. I'm like, girl, you don't need to like me, you don't need to love me, but you gotta really respect me.
hmm Yeah,
So
I feel like that's totally fair. Yeah. my last question for you. I think this is a good ender too. I know that you're a fan of Taylor Swift because I've been seeing on your Instagram
Yeah.
stories, and she just came out with an album, and she has some bangers for like witchy shit and like villain
Yes.
shit.
And
So
the
I'm just
Victorian era
curious.
too. She loves the whole Victorian era.
Yes. Oh my gosh, her last album is it feels very witchy, but I'm just curious like what your favorite song of hers is and why.
Well, are you afraid of little old me? I've heard so many times in the whole survivor community that people are just afraid of you because it would be like, I don't get invited for things, people don't really like, and then the feedback would be they're just afraid of you. And I'm like, why are they afraid of little old me? Like, and I would say that all the time. And yeah, there's like a part of in the song that she said, yeah, and you should be, because I used to say that to people all the time. Um, Personal things that has happened to in the community, and and other people said, she's just afraid of you, and I'm like, well, she should be. Just disrespected me. One thing that I do not like is when people disrespect me. Yeah, fine. Don't like me, don't love me, but do not disrespect me and use my name.
Tell him, girl. Crack 'em skulls.
Yes. Yeah, I'm
I
here.
love
I'm
that song
living for
too.
it.
What's that?
I'm living for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that song too. I really imagine someone like showing up to an event where they're not invited and just like, I'm here, bitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's been really a pleasure chatting. And is there anything, like any last words or thoughts that you want to share?
And I love the Tortured Poets Department. The whole title for the whole album is amazing. It's very witchy too because we
Mhm.
are tortured souls, misunderstood. They really don't understand us. But I think that men got so afraid of losing that power that they had to burn us, literally, and take and strip everything away from us, take our voices, and that's what we're fighting to get that back. I think that as women, we are still fighting to get that back. As human, I think it's just so deep. Well, that's
Mm,
the conversation for another podcast, that's for sure. And my last words for you is Mary Part, and it's so nice meeting you.
Mary Part.